Well, are you going to say something or what? Hello there, friends. Are you feeling well today? Do you even know what it's like to feel well anymore? How about let me start off with this. Are you feeling yourself lately? Are you feeling sad? Have you felt down and unmotivated? Well, here's why. Here's my 5 simple steps to overcome it, and the secrets that the doctors won't tell you. Has nothing to do with this one vegetable that you need to throw away because it destroys your gut. Eat this. Don't eat that. You got to make sure that you eat more meat. You got to eat all meat. I mean, you've got to eat no meat or just less meat. You've got to have positive thinking. You need to take a religion. You need to meditate more. You need to have a better mindset, a better mentality. You need to use alchemy, mental alchemy. All you have to do, my friends, is wake up each day, drink a power smoothie, and think positive about life, and everything will be just dandy and fine. Well, buck that. Sorry, that's kind of brutal. But, I'm not going to pussyfoot around or, dress it up. These inspirational kind of ideas, they don't last. The idea that if we just changed our diet, we're going to feel better. That if we just figure out this one secret, we're going to be happy again. We're going to feel great if we start a diet doing this or that. Keto or vegetarian. We tend to feel better about our decisions based on our, predisposition and presupposition about how we should feel than any actual chemical effect that takes place in our body. It's a mental aspect, a mental outlook. Everything in life is mental alchemy. So much of our lives is placebo effect or nocebo effect. Figuring out how to trick our minds and fool our minds into living a good life. In other words, don't fool yourself about the things that are actually harmful, but fool yourself about the things that maybe don't matter. It doesn't always matter that you care about what happens in the media, in the politics. Right now, everything is political, and it's fucking exhausting. And every single little thing brings up. You could watch a Sesame Street video and people would be complaining about how the liberals took over Sesame Street, as if it hasn't always been a freaking barely public funded show anyway, but that's another story. Let me get to the point here. There's a lot of bullshit going on in the world, and it makes it hard for people to have hope. And because of this, a lot of people are losing their minds. And we as a society kind of represent, as each individual, represent the whole of the society. The as above, so below kind of phenomenon. Now there's an old quote, you may have heard it before. In an age of deceit, some people say, in an age of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. You may have heard this before. And if you think it's quoted to George Orwell, shame on you. It is not George Orwell. In fact, there have been investigations done into all his writings, and there is no example he wrote that, which is, a side note, a great example to remember. Anytime you hear a good quote that sounds good, don't try to attribute it to some author you heard it came from, whether it be Abe Lincoln or George Washington. Most of the time when I've looked up a quote to see if it actually was attributed to that person, they said it's not. But that's a sidestep. In an age of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. And that can mean so many things. This was supposedly quoted as being from 1984, the book, the story, the basic idea of what we're living in right now. That government, that politicians can convince us that they have our best interests at heart, that if we just close our eyes, watch TV, or in our case, look at our cell phones, everything's going to be fine as long as you pick a side and you make sure to defend your side. Strong nationalism, don't let anything get in your way. It's not working out for us. The question is, when you talk about truth being a revolutionary act, is that truth to ourselves? Or truth to others? Is that universal truth or just what we want truth to be? And what we found in recent years is that in a time where we were growing as a species, and we were doing well, and I have points to make on this. We've lost hope. We've turned being tribal together into tribalism to separate each other. We've allowed those in charge, those ridiculous billionaires, to convince us that we're the problem. We just don't work enough jobs or work hard enough. That it's the liberals or the Mexicans taking all the money, or that it's all the conservative Christians that are the problem. Everybody wants to blame each other. But there's another old quote that facts don't care about your feelings. In fact, I believe Mr. Ben Shapiro uses that as his pinned tweet on Twitter. And I'm aware of this because I watch the ridiculous bullshit he posts. And he's right in that sense. The funny thing is, and the irony is, that all the people who use that are the very ones who seem to let their feelings decide what the facts are. Or let me just rephrase that. Many of the people in media, social media, many of the reporters, commentaries, whatever you want to call them, it's that they use other people's feelings to determine what facts, or rather decide which facts will conjure the most intense feelings from people. And unfortunately, negative emotion always takes the top of the list. Bad news always wins. So, we're tribalist, we're selfish, we're ignorant. But here's where it gets to the interesting part and why I think things have really changed. Beyond the internet, beyond all the media hype and how people say that we're all being fooled and lied to, we're not being fooled necessarily as being informed on the reality of the world we live in. That people are mostly fucking idiots. And do you remember excitement? You might not. If you were born in this century, you might not really know what I'm talking about, because even my generation doesn't really understand what it meant to be truly excited about something new that humanity could come together on. Before I get to what I'm talking about there, I'd like to say, when I'm talking about hope here, I'm not trying to be negative. You remember, Pandora's box was opened up, and shit was unleashed upon the universe. But the very thing that was left in the box at the very bottom, when it was peered into, that a lot of people aren't even aware of, is that chaos left the box, but hope remained in the bottom. Hope was what holds us together as a species. Now, we may hope for different things. Religion may kind of muddy that up when we're looking for Temple Mount or red heifers or, spaghetti monsters, whatever it might be. But do you remember excitement? In the sense that, you think about this, when humans, please don't go into the conspiracy realm, I don't care whether we landed on the moon or not. The point being that when the U.S. went to the moon, it was a space race. But people came together and they watched this and said, wow, this is amazing. Look at what we're achieving. Even if it was faked, which it very well could have been during the Cold War. Totally irrelevant to the point I'm making, though. Some average guy who worked really hard to become an astronaut and went through all kinds of trials and tribulations to be an astronaut. And it wasn't even about the astronauts. It was about the experience of humanity. Nowadays, we have some kind of bald Lex Luthor douchebag in a cowboy hat flying out to the edge of the solar system, the edge of the Earth's atmosphere, not even into space. Bezos, yes, Jeff Bezos, landing with this stupid little outfit, getting out and talking to the media and pretending like he was somehow moved by his experience in space. Oh, it's so beautiful, it's amazing, and what does he come back with? It made me realize that we need to move industry into space, polluting industry. No, this is what Bezos actually said. Not coming back saying, wow, we have a beautiful marble. I've decided that I'm going to pay my workers twice as much and, give away my fortune to something more worthy than burning as much jet fuel in one trip than the average car pollutes in 200 years. that's really good for the environment. But the billionaires like Jeff Bezos, these people that were extremely rich, the ones that did exist back in the 60s and 70s, they weren't in the public eye. The Rockefellers, there were some real shady douchebags out there. But the difference was we didn't celebrate them like heroes. The Jeff Bezos, the Elon Musks, God, the Richard Bransons, the JetBlue guy, I think, isn't that who he is? Point being that these guys just want to be seen by the media as these heroes that are going to take us to Mars and start over when we completely annihilate our own planet. That's not exciting to me. So I'm trying to figure out where the excitement is. Our ancestors worked really fucking hard to create a future for us, right? I'm sure that you have some ancestor or relative in your lineage that did something, whether it be working on circuitry and do astrophysics or airplanes, or even mining coal to feed the fires that helped to burn the engines to transport shit. We all worked hard. They all worked hard to build a world to get to where we are now with the technology we have. And instead of that technology, for example, being available to everyone freely and at an affordable price, there are patent trolls and legal systems that protect corporations, intellectual property rights. And here's the real kicker. The public is fucking stupid. I thought that people by now would have looked into these things and seen this, but no. Half the nation still supports capitalism, as if it's some god. It's going nowhere. It's not doing what it's doing what it's meant to do. It's not doing what we need as people to benefit the average person. And yet people continue to feed this bullshit narrative that we just need to be strong, protect our nation, send our kids off to war. And we don't see shit for it, except for dead bodies coming back. And when we finally do pull out of a war, all of a sudden everybody's upset about the people in Afghanistan, rather than saying, look, we got our American troops out, or at least most of them. There's always a negative side. People always want to look at the bad. It's always, we could have done more, or we haven't done enough. A few rich people continue to profit off of war, off of people's hope and ignorance, off of going to space. But the average person is no longer celebrated. The average Joe is no longer somebody to say, look, this person came up with this amazing invention and patent. No, somebody already owned that patent. And they just sued the person and made them pay up. So we're living in a world where we have to be strong for our families. We're living in a world where we have to find purpose and meanings, try to avoid politics and the media and all the bullshit. No wonder we're pissed off. No wonder we're not feeling like ourselves. I mean, I really don't know how else to say it. It reminds me of the old bumper sticker in the 80s. If you're not angry, you're not paying attention. I guess these days you could get away with, if you're not fucking pissed off, then you ain't paying attention. Because I fight this part of myself. Not my darkness, but the darkness that I see in the world. And there's a part of me that wants to be positive, that wants to say that things can get better, that people can change through protest or through speaking up or through signing new legislation to try to help people. And the older I get, the more I see anarchy as the only solution. I mean, government has continuously failed the people. Now we have the situation with mandating this thing in the arm, which I won't even dare say because they've also mandated voices not to be used for certain things. Meaning that you literally cannot speak about certain things without being censored now. What do? Complain, scream, hit the wall? I feel like this thing with spike proteins on it that's getting into people's bodies and that is supposedly, that's killing all these people has been way overblown at this point. And there's part of me that at the beginning said, hey, no, this is a serious issue. But I believe it's devolving. My belief is that COVID is devolving into something much less lethal over time, but we're just not getting the message with that. It's as if people have been saying from the beginning, once you allow people control over your lives, they'll continue to take that control. And governments are no different than people. So when life is complex, we latch onto ideas and we take sides. And that's what people are doing right now. If you don't have a jab, then you're an idiot. And if you do, you're an idiot. There's no middle ground. There's just no live and let live anymore. And I, for one, am fucking tired of it. I call bullshit whenever I see it. I don't care if I'm in a left or right media or what I'm watching. I can't just walk away and avoid what's going on in the world and ignore it. It's total bullshit. It's a cop-out. We all pay attention. Even the people that say they don't let it get to them. I know that they're full of shit. Because you know that it affects you, no matter what. No matter who you are. If you're paying attention to anything in the world and you have any sense of common, understanding of the world or any decency, it's going to frustrate you a bit. The way that things are handled. So, that's my ramble for the day. Thanks for listening. I'll leave it at that. Just remember at the bottom of that box there was hope. Let go of some of the bullshit. Just let life flow. But that's a lot harder for kids these days. And if we want a generation that's going to grow up with that hope, that actually sees that hope in the bottom of the box, we've got to give them something to work towards. And that's hard to see with college failing, schools failing, workplaces failing. The entire system is falling apart at the seams. Something I always knew would happen, but I'd hoped I was wrong about. Maybe I am wrong about. Let me know what you think. I'll talk to y'all next time. Thanks to my peeps, my patrons. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And I'll talk to you all next time. Over and out with Carpo719. A video that's